Ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolute treat to start the new year. The UFC has announced the UFC Seattle card and a couple of old vets returning. The big question, I'm sure, for most people is why aren't these guys fighting each other? Of course, I am talking about Triple C, Henry Cejudo, and Dominic Cruz, two legends of the bantamweight division. You know, Triple C did a lot of his work down lower at flyweight. Two guys who have, both claimed gold in the past. Going to be an absolute treat to watch them both on this card together. Like I said, irrespective matchups, and both have pretty tough matchups, I think. Henry Cejudo especially, he is taking on, a really exciting young, hungry fighter in Song Yadong, who has only ever lost to the best. That one specifically, that's a really tough matchup for Cejudo. Dominic Cruz, he has another veteran, Rob Font. That's the sort of fight, Dominic Cruz should be in. We don't need to see him get cleaned up anymore by these young guys. Regardless of that, he needs to watch out for the boxing because Rob Font can crack. And, his wrestling defense has been looking a lot more improved recently. Great performance last time out. Like I said, this whole card is an absolute New Year's treat because it is stacked. This one going down late February, Seattle, Washington. Edson Barbosa, Steve Garcia. What a fight. Like I said, Dominic Cruz, Rob Font, Henry Cejudo, Triple C, main event versus Song Yadong. Iwan Kutalaba's on the card. He's going to be dressed up in green for that one. Curtis Blades, he's returning. And a really, really interesting prospect. I'm sure that a lot of people have their eye on, me included, in John Silver. A guy who is, just jumping between weight classes, featherweight and lightweight, like it's no tomorrow. And doing very, very well in both weight classes. He has an interesting fight in Melshik Bagdasharian, someone who is, also rising in his career. I thought John Silver was a little bit past this level of competition now. Regardless, like I said, we have incredible talent on this whole card from top to bottom. When the UFC, you're starting to see it more and more, when the UFC for these fight nights are going back to the cities, back on the road, like they used to, we're getting stacked fight night cards. With all of that comes along the meaningless apex fodder that we've been getting and will continue to get, just with how many fighters they have on the roster and how many events that they have to fulfill for ESPN and all of the other streaming broadcasting rights that they have. This is one of those ones, I'm super grateful for, because with a live crowd, a fight card like this, it's going to go absolutely off. Let's dive into that main event. Like I said, this is a really, really intriguing fight, and this fight tells me that it's clear Henry Cejudo, is real about being at the top of this division and wanting that belt back. The fights he's had in the past, the loss to Marab and Aljo before that must have left such a bad taste in his mouth. You can tell the guy, even so late in his career, is so competitive. You don't achieve everything that Henry Cejudo has achieved by not being that competitive, and clearly that spirit, that winning mentality is still there with him. He wants to be the best in the world, and, he thinks he can still do that. This matchup is very telling. If you lose 3 in a row, the bantamweight division, no matter who you are, good luck coming back from that. And he gets a really, really tough one in Song Yadong. And regardless of the name he's getting, if he wants to hang around at the top of the bantamweight division, it is absolute killers. And he's undersized against most of these guys, This one especially as well, Song Yadong is a massive bantamweight. Like, there's no way he could ever make 125 pounds. And, we've seen him over 5 rounds. He's getting more disciplined. He's putting all those pieces together, and he can crack. Very athletic. I think Henry Cejudo has his hands full in this matchup. Could you imagine if he turns back the clock and comes out, really impresses everyone? Because say what you want about the guy, he has a really, really scientific and structured approach to the game. So is that enough to bring him over the line? And he's just been looking so deficient in some areas, like getting taken down as much as he did against Aljo and Marab. I know the guys are bigger, like I said, but yeah, I think he's regressed a little bit, and I think it's just due to age and also taking those 2 years off, in the prime of his career, retiring when he did. He's back now in, like I said, a crossroads matchup, but I'm really excited for the news, and it's going to be a really intriguing fight. Dominic Cruz, he's in that sort of twilight era of his career where he's just taking those legend fights, those, not necessarily wanting to risk it all against the up-and-comers. Rob Font is someone who, has earned Dominic Cruz's respect in this division, and everyone's respect. Like, Rob Font, to be fighting at the level he still is after so long in the UFC, it's absolutely wild. And to be still adding bits and pieces to his game, like his last performance, he looked on. He beat a next generation fighter that was very hyped up in Kyler Phillips. He did it, pretty convincingly. The pieces he added, seeking out Faraz Sahabi, constantly trying to evolve as a fighter this late into his career. You can tell he is a lifelong martial artist, and it's just such a heartwarming thing to see. Someone who is so dedicated to the game and, like I said, continuing to evolve so late. So I think, both Dominic Cruz, Henry Cejudo, both have their hands full because, yeah, this division, regardless of how fast it moves, it's just killer's row, especially for these older guys who are hanging around. Let me know what you guys think about this card, because what a way to start the year. And like I said, a live crowd, this is going to be huge. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really, really appreciate that. And we will chat soon.